Good morning, viewers and listeners. We are live. The date is August 20, 2021, and this is the State of Football Show. Your new home for real football talk in the morning, partnered with Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated. Oh, man, via the NFL Draft Bible. I am your host, Big Law, Lawrence Johnson, and this show is show number 274. If Virginia is for lovers, then Fridays on the State of Football is for interviews. The energy represented by the show number 274 is about philanthropy, compassion, and a cooperative atmosphere. The number 274 is a wonderful number. The energies it represents makes the number kind-hearted, tolerant, intelligent, a team worker, and so very much wanting to see humanity better off than it is. How about that? Man, these meanings for these show numbers keep getting better and better, and that would be just a great thing, as well as the great things that football has given us. And as football comes back around, it's our season. That's right. The NFL Draft Bible, Big Law, Rick Saratella, Sam Saratella, Super Pro in the back. Let's get this show started. I know that, understand we are on season 2. This is episode 15. We can't stop, we don't stop, and we won't stop. Remember, you can go to www.si/NFL/draft. Remember, www.si.com. NFL/NFL/draft. Also catch us on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. And look for the NFL Draft Bible there as well. Please also check out our Prospect Encyclopedia for our latest evaluation of the college athletes of tomorrow. Today we have 3 guests, or actually we got 4 guests, but 3 different time slots. Today we're going to have Fred Olson and Brett Miller from Fenway Bowl Management, and we're going to talk about the first ever bowl game, Division I bowl game that's going to be in New England coming up this bowl season. We also have Hondo Carpenter, a Michigan State University reporter with Spartan Nation, also with the Raiders, does some reporting for the Raiders as well. And then we also have Joshua Briscoe. He's the host of Almost Entirely Sports show and chief editor of the Arrowhead Report out of Kansas City. But as I said, guys, there are some things that we're looking forward to. Let me go ahead and throw some things to you just on my end. Did I tell you that the NFL Draft Bible Tailgate Show Season 2 will be premiering next Saturday? Okay? And guess who's going to be the host? Your guy. That's right. Big Law, Lawrence Johnson. I'm going to be back for Season 2. And I'm going to be on location. I do plan on, because this season or this year, they have opened up the stadiums, 100% capacity. You're going to have to wear a mask if you're indoors. But I will be on the road, so this will be a huge juggling act for me, where I will have to, host the show and then run to a stadium, whether it's UVA, ECU, or wherever it is. I will be hosting the tailgate show for Season 2. Look for my co-host, also Lorenz Langweaver, head scout here at the NFL Draft Bible. And him and I are going to chop it up. We're going to have all different kinds of guests every week, and we'll very excited to get into that again as college football kicks off. And speaking of college football kicking off, did you know next Saturday, that's right, the 28th, we have college football, which is why I'm going to do the show. I have to do the show, okay? And then we're going to talk about the games. And let me tell you what's on the docket for those games. We're going to have Illinois and Nebraska play Saturday, that 28th. We're going to have Hawaii and UCLA. They play. They're kicking it off. UConn versus Fresno State. And then we're going to have UTEP versus New Mexico State, and then we got Southern Utah versus San Jose State University. So yes, it's on, guys. Everything is on and popping. College football is here. It's only a week away. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. We got to get it now. We no more hesitating. There's nothing we can do. Our entire world, as far as personal and social, just ended for any of us that are, in the college football sports world. Now it's just about covering athletes, figuring out which ones are going to go up the draft boards, and some that are going to fall, and we're going to look for those dark horse players coming up. But here at the NFL Draft Bible, like I said, we don't stop, won't stop, can't stop. It's going to be amazing. And I tell you, make sure you guys check out the State of Football. Every Monday through Friday, of course, I'm on for Fridays, but my man Rick Saratella, the boss, check him out as well. Monday through Thursday, puts on a great show, has all kinds of guests. They're on location. I saw he was at was it UConn University, and maybe Villanova as well. I saw him on location doing some things out there with the fam, and just people don't understand that football really is a family sport. It's really bred in community, and whenever you get as many people as you need to get that's involved in a football program, you really become a family. And that's the allure. It's almost like we become our own gang. As you got a coach who is kind of like the father of everything, and then you got all these different players and personalities from all over, different lifestyles and different, in different areas of life, and we all come together for one cause, and that's a family, and that's why I think the sport is as popular as it is, and it's continuing to grow. If you haven't seen some of these contracts from some of these NFL players, you're not paying attention, because the money that they're making correlates with the fans and correlates with the views and the TV contracts and everything else that comes with it. But everybody is paying attention to NFL and college football. It's the number one American sport on TV right now, and it doesn't matter, what level you're at. People are going to pay attention, whether you're in high school, college, pros. It's going to get the views. But yeah, I'm just ready to rock and roll. And like I said, we have some great guests today. I'm really excited, about this Fenway Bowl. This Fenway Bowl is something that we've that I've done some research on, and it's the first one, and we're actually are gonna really jump into it, and kind of see how it all kind of shakes out, and how they acquired it. And I'm gonna have some really cool guys talking about that as well. But also keep in mind, before we get into the host, NFL preseason is underway. I know you had a game last night. Speaking of New England, that up in Fenway, New England, first bowl of New England Patriots played the Philadelphia Eagles, which is Sam's team, Super Pro Sam's team. And I tell you this, the score was 35-0, but if you heard the news, Jalen Hurts went to the hospital with a stomach infection. They said it's non-COVID related, but that's crazy. That's not good. It's almost like, when we would travel, as a team or as a player, it was almost like you can't go anywhere and have, eat food in an away town, because you never know who could be poisoning you. You never know who could give you something to make you sick. That's a big deal. That's kind of like the seedy underbelly. If you're out and about, and, you and your friends or your boys, you're on the team, you want to get out, and get, and go see in a ways, in a away team's area, and you get something to eat. You never know. That's something that we've always been, have always paid attention to, and they need to make sure that he wasn't poisoned, or he wasn't given something that made him sick. But he's a good young quarterback. He'll bounce back, and and you know he's going to have to play in that last game. Remember, they're only doing 3 preseason games, and it's getting ready to go crazy. You know, when it comes to the NFL, they're about to blow the top off of everything. But before we get any further, we do have some interviews to get to. And if we're ready in the back, I'm ready to jump right into our first guest for the morning. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Good morning. Big Law, we're doing great.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm already calling you my guys. Okay, you guys, my guys, because I have a special request after this interview, and I'll ask you guys while we're on the air here. But first of all, who's Fred and who's Brett?
Fred.
Fred. Okay, Fred's up top. Brett's in the middle. How you doing today, man? Brett's in the middle. How you doing?
Brett. Doing great. Is Brett's connection working with us?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Trying to get
doing
Brett
well.
on.
It's Friday. Happy Friday.
Love it, man. So you guys are with Fenway Bowl management, and you know, Fenway is such a it's larger than life, really. It is, and the history of the stadium and the culture up in New England, Massachusetts, Boston, and everything. Just kind of give me what and how did you guys get involved with Fenway Bowl management?
So yeah, it's been a long road. We're always looking to program new events, exciting events at the ballpark. As you may know, this facility has hosted anywhere from college hockey to a sport called Irish hurling and things in between like skiing and snowboarding. But about 6 years ago, we had the opportunity to host Notre Dame and Boston College as our first college football game and first a football game of any kind since 1968. And really at that moment, and Brett was integral in that event as well, we knew that we had something special. And so from that point on, we asked ourselves, how can we get more involved in the college football space? And we ultimately ended up connecting through various channels in the bowl world and reached an agreement 2 years ago, going on 2+ years ago, with the ACC and the American Athletic and ESPN to launch the Fenway Bowl. So it's been a long run, and we've been delayed a year due to everything that's been going on, but we're excited to get going here this December 29th.
Okay, all right. Before we go any further, please, if you guys would, tell us about yourself, or tell me about yourself, Fred, right now, and how you yourself got into this, just this world of sports and the enormity of what Boston sports is. How did you get involved with all that, man, in your history?
No doubt. Well, yeah, I'm originally from Durham, New Hampshire, where University of New Hampshire is located. So I was born and bred with the Red Sox and Fenway in my blood, and fortunate enough to be with the organization now for over 15 years, and the last 10 of which we've really been focused on special events, as I mentioned, all those fun things we've been able to bring to the ballpark. And football, again, has been, as I caught at the beginning of some of your comments, I mean, it's so popular, right? You mentioned the Patriots. And college football, is definitely still growing in New England, quite frankly. And that's part of our mission here, right? Introducing a bowl game, the first ever postseason game, a college game in New England. And so, yeah, my background is really operations, but always trying to figure out new and exciting ways to bring something to the ballpark.
Of course, like you said, the AAC and the ACC. See, I cover Virginia, and I cover ECU. I'm down here in Virginia Beach area. So I'm hoping, I can get, one of my teams in there, and if I don't, I really would love an opportunity to come cover you guys. And we'll keep in touch. I really would love to come up there. I see that it's the December 29th
exactly.
Of this year, and right there in the smack dab of the heat of bowl season. I'm really excited. And this is the first inaugural bowl season, which they really haven't had a Division I, like something this big, ever, that far north And I know that, people are going to be apprehensive a little bit because of the weather and what the weather could be in that part of town. But you guys are used to it. That's what it is. You have this kind of a bowl just for that reason. Just maybe we're going to play. Maybe we'll be in the snow up there, correct? What did you guys think about that?
Is still with us able to answer? I know we talked about this a lot. If not, I can take it. Is he still on?
I'm right here. You hear me?
No, my colleague Brett. I don't know if he's still with us. He may. I know he was on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully he'll be back. Well, I'll keep the seat warm until he's back. But
gotcha.
So yeah, we've definitely thought about the weather and typically in New England, yes, it's going to be cold. It's football weather as we call it. But we are expecting. We've done all the research as you might imagine. The conference has asked that question when we first met with them. That was like their first question. And we expect it to be cold. Snow in New England's typically January, February. So we're hoping that the mother nature, as they say, will spare us a bit. But no, we'll be prepared for the cold weather. And again, excited. And the fans typically, certainly in New England, they know what to expect. And fans coming from out of town will be expecting, holiday type weather.
Oh man, I'm excited, man. So with this bowl coming up, what are some different things that you guys would do? I guess a Fenway style, a New England style, different from other bowl weeks. Do you have what events do you guys have planned for bowl week?
Sure. Our goals are twofold. First and foremost, and you mentioned it again at the top, Fenway Park is the focal point, no doubt. Right. This building is 109 years old, or 109 years young, as we like to say. So much history. We first started hosting football here the year we opened. High school football started in 1912. And not a lot of people know that. College football started in 1914 here. New England Patriots started here. They started as the Boston Patriots and left here in 1968 to go down to Foxborough. So I think showcasing this venue, this ballpark, this incredible mecca of U.S. sports to the teams, to the fans, to everyone is again, point A. But then right behind that, Boston. Boston is a major metropolitan city, the destination city. And there's so much to offer. And we're working on all of our bowl week events now with our team, Brett and our colleague, Christina Hudak, putting together, just a great lineup of events that we've already started talking through a little bit with the conferences. So we'll be rolling those out probably in the next few weeks or so. Okay.
And I guess you're still working on, is it the third or fourth place team in both conferences? Is that what you're working out right now?
You got it. That's being discussed now as well. I think we'll be on a similar level. I'm sure you're familiar with the Military Bowl in Annapolis, so probably similar type level to that. So we're going to get a great matchup. The conferences are top notch. We couldn't be more excited. They've been fantastic to work with. Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Oresco, their teams. It's just been a great relationship so far. And again, we're partnered with ESPN Events, who are a first class outfit. So. We've got everything's working for us, and we just got to get this game in. That's really our main goal. Our third goal, and should be first, is to get the game in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I got to say it because, it's such a rivalry. The guys to the south of you, the Yankees, they have that pinstripe bowl, correct? Don't they have a pinstripe bowl?
They do, and they've been very, very successful with it. We've taken notes. We've taken notes the last 12 years or so, and they've been terrific sharing information. Emily Hamel and Mark Holtzman and their team that run the Pinstripe Bowl. Speaking of first class outfits, it's been an extremely successful endeavor for them. We know, and certainly yes, we're trying to emulate that. No doubt about it.
I mean, just tell me straight up, Fred. I know there's got to be an internal fire competition that is burning inside of you. It's like, hey, we can do it just as well or better. Being that you're that close, Boston, New York again, Yankees, Red Sox, pinstripe Fenway. What's up? You know what I mean? It's ready.
Friendly competition. It's friendly competition. Always trying to one up each other, no doubt. We're not gonna comment. I'm glad I'm not getting any baseball questions. We're not gonna comment about what took place this week in New York. But no, it's you're right. I mean, it is, and it's what makes all of this so exciting and such a spectacle. Is is that we will have, and actually you may have seen it too, the way the games are lined up. Our game is on first on ESPN that day, and then
11 o'clock. I saw that.
And we're followed by the Pinstripe Bowl.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
So there you go. There you
go. All right. well, that's great, man. I think I think you guys are gonna do awesome. I mean, I'm just excited, and it'll be me and maybe a couple, or maybe one more of my guys from one of my outlets coming up. And I want to cover the game. I don't even care who's in the game. I want to be a part of it. It's the inaugural one. It's it's a big deal. If people don't understand how as much pageantry as New England has in the northern part of the United States and the history that's there, and then to finally have a large Division I football bowl game actually going on there, I would imagine that the fans, there's got to be a buzz. What are some of the things you've heard some of your fans or some of the fans out there talking about this Fenway Bowl coming?
Sure. No, you're correct. There is a buzz. I think anytime you create something new, there are questions too. They're wondering, say, what do you guys have going on there? And I think, starting with that success with the Notre Dame BC game, and again, BC being a longtime member of the ACC, it's kind of a natural evolution of our business in that respect. And the fans are excited. We'll be launching ticket sales in the next few weeks, hopefully right after Labor Day, hosting a kickoff event. Really getting our name out there as much as we possibly can. And I think, the games that we hosted Harvard Yale a few years ago as well, which, that's a pretty big match, the game. And we've hosted a UConn home game, a UMass home game. We've had even a Brown. We hosted another Ivy League game, a Brown home game. This is a rich sports town, as you know full well, sports region, and the colleges around here and the passion of supporting those colleges is second to none. So I think we're hoping to tap into something that's has not been tapped into previously.
Well, it was really awesome. You talk about your rich sports town. It's in the middle of the basketball season, so I'm telling you, I'm coming down for the whole bowl week. I'm going to look for the Celtics because I've never been to Boston. I want to see the Celtics. I want to do the bowl game. I want to do your bowl week. I want to do it all, man. And I just want to kind of get that. And it's going to be cold, so I'm going to get the full Boston experience, You
will. We'll be excited to have you. There'll be a lot going on. We know the NBA's coming out with their schedule soon, so we'll make sure you can get down to see the Celtics. We know the NHL schedule's out, and the Bruins are home. We think that Monday night, the 27th. So that's good. So you got the NHL. I'm sure there'll be some college basketball going on. Yeah, no, I've lived in the Boston area too for almost a little bit longer than I've worked here, and there's always something to do and something to see as far as sports goes, and other things too, culturally, of course. But it's a great town. It's a great place. We're excited to have you for your first visit. Look at that. That's amazing.
I'm coming, man. We're coming, and then I see that there is just a ton of like you said, the history of New England, the history of what's there. And kind of figuring out, what things you're going to do and what things you're not going to do. But I know that there's going to be some fun with this. And I'm just excited to see that there is actually a huge bowl up there. And are you part of the bowl selection committee? Like, when you're putting out, like, okay, I want Boston College.
Sure. Yes, we will be. We will be a part of that selection process, no doubt. And again, our friends at ESPN Events will be running that show. They're really experienced. They own and operate like 17 bowl games, so they're they're veterans to say the least. But we will have a say in the process, and again, that's going to be exciting in and of itself. The first time we get to go through a selection Sunday, for instance. But yeah, switching gears just for 1 second, I can't forget to say, on the community front, and you mentioned it, and connecting the community, that really has been for us probably the most rewarding part so far, is understanding how we're going to be giving back. And the mission of our game is quite frankly supporting, strengthening, and fostering education throughout Boston and New England, and that's supporting teachers, students, schools themselves. We've already started that program with what we call the Honor Roll, which is really recognizing all the teachers and educators that went above and beyond last year during the pandemic. We're going to grow, and we're going to build on that work this year, as it's featured. I see on your screen now. So we're thrilled about this part of it. It's, it's more than a game, right? It's that experience as you're
Mhm.
going to see with the bowl game, but also how does the Fenway Bowl give back? And we're thrilled about that.
Yes, man, I'm really excited. And that whole concept with, Boston College, and then you had the Irish come in to Boston.
Yep.
That was phenomenal, and a great concept, and good on you guys for putting such a great product and concept together. So I got some rapid fire for you, man. You ready for some rapid fire?
I am ready. Go right ahead.
All right. Let's get this thing going. All right. What's your favorite home cooked meal?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm a French citizen. My mom is French, and it's ratatouille. I don't know if you know. It's like a
Ooh.
casserole of vegetables. There was a famous Disney movie made about it.
Yeah. With the the mouse and the yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it's ratatouille.
Yes, sir. Okay, all right. So we got ratatouille. What are your hidden talents no one knows about?
Oh boy. Well, I gave one away. I can speak French. Not a lot of people know that. My last name wouldn't give that away. Other than that, boy, I think I've memorized almost the back of every baseball card from like circa 1979 to 1992. All the stats, names, numbers. I'm a sports card collector.
Okay, all right. What's your most valuable card?
Oh, well, that's a really, really, really good one. I started to get into soccer cards the last few years, and I've got a few of the. So again, sticking with the theme here, Kylian Mbappe. You may know Mbappe.
Yeah, French.
So I have
Mbappe.
I have a couple of Mbappe rookies, which are doing pretty well.
I think he's a poster boy for the FIFA soccer game this year.
He is. He is. He was last year too. 2 years in a row.
That's two. Yeah. 2 years in a row. If you had $100K to give to charity, who would it be, or what would it be?
Oh, well, yeah, I think there'd be a tie there between an educate. Well, there's three. Sorry, Greater Boston Food Bank. We support them already. I do personally in my family, and then Doctors Without Borders, and then even probably the Greater Boston YMCA. There's the problem is as soon as my mind gets going there, I start thinking about 20 things. So we'll stop at 3.
Okay. Well, when you say Doctors Without Borders,
yes,
is that like abroad? Doctors going abroad and helping?
It is an international organization, and I'm sure that they're in Haiti right now, given everything that's going on there and disasters. They typically are disaster relief, and they're doing amazing work all across the globe with respect to just trying to help wherever they can. I mean, we know that there are a lot of crises going on in the world right now.
Man, thank you for educating me. I did not know that.
No problem.
And what superhero or supervillain do you identify with the most?
Oh man, that is a really, really good one. Well, my favorite superhero in terms of who played him too is Batman.
Okay.
And the most recent ones. Mr. Bale.
Okay, Christian Bale. Got
you. Maybe a little dark, a little mysterious at times.
Okay.
But always trying to do the right thing.
Okay, all right. I can tell you, my man Fred got him a Batmobile, y'all, in the parking garage at Fenway. Whoever is his. But yeah, man, I appreciate having you on. You got any announcements or any shout outs in closing?
Well, thank you for having me on, Bill. This has been a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you in a few months here in our fair city now at our ballpark. But I mean, I think our announcement, is that be on the lookout for ticket sales. Again, we're either September 8th or 9th. We're nailing that down here shortly. But again, a shout out for our philanthropic activities and pay attention to what we'll be doing there. The Honor Roll will be relaunching again here soon. With our friends at the Boston Globe, they help support us there too. So we got a lot coming up.
Awesome. And, send me an email and I'll blast you guys out on some of my other outlets as well that I have. And, just for your causes, man. But I appreciate you so much. I look forward to meeting you in person in a few months.
Same here. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for your time. And I hope our guy, Brett, maybe I get him on next week.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll have a separate interview and we'll get his perspective on things as well.
There you go. Hopefully it matches up, somewhat with what I said. We'll see.
Well, you guys got it going, man. You guys are on a roll. I love it.
Well, we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you, Fred. And that is Fred Olson, Vice President of the Fenway Bowl. You know, getting something like that going and getting an opportunity to have a real cold weather bowl. Most bowls are in warm weather, southern type cities in the United States, but being able to have a bowl game in the cold weather is a big deal because there's a lot of games that are played in cold weather, whether it's the pros, high school, or college. So it's only customary that there's a bowl game that's in the cold weather. And there you go. As you guys can see, 12/29/2021, right before New Year's Eve. So you can get the bowl game in. And if you got to eat, you can still get back home for New Year's. Perfect timing. And I think I am going to book some things that I will, I'll be there. I'll be there. Me and maybe a teammate of mine as well. So we're ready. For our next guest. Let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. And I can tell you, it's been a busy week for me, with everything that we had from one of our guests may be missing right now, but it's been like I said, a great week for myself. As far as being busy, I've done just about everything. Tomorrow I will be going to ECU on location. It is media day there. Meet the Pirates. We will be covering Coach Houston. Remember, he used to be at JMU when they won the championship on the FCS level, and he's been at ECU for the past 3 years, going on 4 years now. And I will be down there with my media team, 7 City Shop Talk, to check them out and to meet the players, in addition to the press conference with the coach. So I will be there. And, of course, Tuesdays, make sure you guys check me out on my 7 City Shop Talk show. We're actually doing some crazy things, talking about having a 40-foot travel bus. And we're going to be traveling to games, and we're going to pull up with my 7 City Shop Talk team. We're going to go out. We're going to judge. We're going to judge some of the tailgates and have a good time with that. And then, of course, shout out to my folks at Woo Radio, of course, at my Woo Sports, Woo Radio brand as well. I'm the sports director there, and my man Hilario the Guzman, we call him the Goose, and a few other of the talents on there. We have a lot of guys and ladies that are talented on that brand, and it's a little bit of a different brand from sports. We do a little bit of current events and some social things, and then we cover sports as well. So it's a little bit of a different entertainment style, but it's really good and entertaining. If you want to talk about something more than just sports. But being here on the State of Football and Sports Illustrated is a treat, and I love working with my guys. Of course, my man Rick Saratella talked about getting on the scouting trail, and as you know, it's been over a year. We haven't been able to get on the scouting trail and get out there in society and make sure that we get out there and get what we have to do, what we have to do, because you never know what's going on with this new variant. And, we have to take care of ourselves and take care of one another. But yeah, this is our probably talking about my 7 Cities brand and going off with how long I've been there. I've been there for, let's see here. This is going into my 8th season with them. Of course, you see my picture there. That's me. And that's Coach. That's actually one of my mentors there. That's Coach Reggie Garrett. He's actually one of the gentlemen who's actually responsible for my success. He actually coached me as a youth and also hired me as a high school football coach and special education teacher. That's kind of like where my beginnings kind of came in. And that's my information there. And if you guys kind of scroll, you can kind of see what we do on a weekly basis. You can see there's my Woo Sports brand as well with my man DeGooz. And there's our logo and our flyer right there. You can just catch us Fridays today from 6 to 7. You download the app. You can go to the Apple Store, download Woo World Radio. It's the Woo, and when I say Woo, you guys may not understand. It's Wu-Tang. So if you're familiar with the Wu-Tang Clan, they have a studio where I am in downtown Norfolk, and partnered with them, and I am the sports director there. So I do the sports brand and the sports information there with them. But we put on a pretty good show, man. We put on a good show, an entertaining show. It's a little bit more than just sports. And you guys see there's our winter flyer, have on our coats and everything. But yeah, we have a great time with it. But I've been doing this for quite some time, and it's really just been building for quite some years. And as my experience grows and my relationships grow, it's just been blessed to give me these opportunities to kind of be where I am, in society right now. And and with everything that we have when it comes to sports, and everybody that has helped me, get to this stage of my life, I really appreciate them. There's my man T Goody, Tom Goodhines. What's going on, Tom? Tom also is one of the principals, one of the main people responsible for putting on the Hub football a camp academy brand, and they actually give potential professional athletes an opportunity to get back into the NFL, or give them their first opportunity to get back in the NFL. Look at that. There we go. That's the Hub football camp, man. And they are absolutely awesome. You got a lot of players who may have fallen through the cracks, which happens all the time when you have a high-end brand like the NFL, like the CFL. It's a very exclusive job. And a lot of times, you get an opportunity, you get into the system, and you may not understand the significance of it all, and you may not make it your first time through. But that's where Tom Goodhines and the Hub and Don Yee step in. Understand that you have to register quickly, because I want to say maybe 15% of the people that have registered get selected. So make sure that you're one of the first names that they see, guys. Understand that. So make sure you sign up, and also sign up for the packages. They have some really cool packages, VIP packages for when you need to get a little bit more exposure, and they can give you a little bit more exposure on your name, and for your profile, a little bit better look for your profile. And like I said, colleges, players that, came out of some colleges that have not, that didn't make it, didn't get drafted, or didn't become a UFA or whatever, check out the Hub. Sign up. Tom is giving me some stats right there. Over 150 workouts and 90 contracts from the camps, guys. That's only since the summertime, I believe. That's unreal. That is that right. You want to talk about getting young men back to work and getting them in an opportunity to better themselves and to take care of their families? We got to give a shout out to them, because I can tell you, a lot of times, like I said, the young men, they fall through the cracks and they just need another opportunity. A lot of times it would be like, okay, you could come in, and try to get a workout, as exclusive as it is, especially with COVID, with a professional team, whether it be a CFL team, or if you're blessed to get an opportunity to work out for a pro team, you can get it, but those are so few and far between. But something like the Hub is kind of like that in between, where it doesn't have to totally be at the program, because the Hub is going to bring GMs and representatives from pro teams to see you work out. So it's almost like when you had those high school combines or college combines, it's almost like a combine for you to come in and showcase your athletic talent right away. So It's just a great time, man. There you go. Tom is giving it to me right now. Premier package. They'll put together a premier package for you, and super producer Sam and Rick Saratella will help you with that as well. But yeah, the hub is going, man. I want to say they put it on every other month. If I think I'm correct. And yeah, and NFL players that have gotten cut too get an opportunity if they get to the hub. But my man Tom Goodhines and Don Yee and the crew, and I can tell you that the coaches are really awesome as well. But if we have our next guest is Joshua, hopefully we have Joshua Briscoe with us.
Here I am.
Okay.
Your prayers have been answered.
There you go. This is Joshua Briscoe, everybody. Seems like my man is almost like me, a host with the most. A lot of personality, a lot of energy. We're from the same tribe, brother.
Yeah, you cannot limp into anything ever, especially when you have to just pretend that you have the energy. Like I'm a night owl, right? So like I host a radio show here in Kansas City in addition to everything with Arrowhead Report on Sports Illustrated. But sometimes, man, you power through that last hour for you, a morning hour. And if it's not actually in the tank, you can't let anybody else know that. So I very much understand that, which is why I've got my cup of coffee for our conversation today.
That's right, man. So, yeah, like he said, almost entirely sports show. He's the host of, and also the chief editor of the Arrowhead Report from Kansas City. So let's just jump in. What are your measurables right now, buddy?
My measurables?
What are your measurables? Hey, you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. You never know who could be a prospect. And we are prospects all the time, brother. And you know what? And hold on. It could not also be just a football prospect. It could be a prospect for something else.
Right, that's the thing. So I'll say, I'm 5'10", 200, and I don't know, 200 and too much probably. I got probably a slightly below average wingspan for being about 5'10". I'm going to round up, is it 5'9" and 3/4? Who's to say? Scouting report, again, can bring the energy when necessary. I'm at least a 5-tool player. I've got Arrowhead Report. I've got Almost Entirely Sports, do the Chiefs post-game show for 810. Got a podcast called Times Ours with The Athletic. I'll be a guest on anyone's podcast. That's 5 tools minimum. Vertical leap, I could clear most bugs if necessary. But once you start getting to like amphibians and stuff, there's a decent chance I might trip over one. And and I haven't gotten 8 consecutive hours of sleep in I don't know, since high school. I was
about the same thing. I can only sleep in 4-hour clips, man. For some, I don't know why, but I just, I don't care how much I try. I just can't sleep, brother. And I'm up and I'm doing something else. So give us your background, man.
So I kind of started on the radio side of things. I was interning at 810 through college over the summer, and ended up getting a job pushing buttons there, and then did that for a while and kind of moved up the ranks a little bit at 810, and started Almost Entirely Sports over on our sister station ESPN Kansas City. Moved it over to 810, did that for a while, then got a call one day about the job for Arrowhead Report, and I've been doing that now for about a year and a half, I would say. A little bit under that. And look at that, man! I knew that your producer was on top of it just based off of the communication we'd had, but I'm watching the stream now and just seeing like a nice scroll through. I haven't even looked at the website yet today. This is the first time that I'm looking at the website. We got to get that new story up there in the hero cover. Yeah, man, I've been writing and talking. I started a Chiefs podcast in college, was the editor of my newspaper in college, and just have not ever stopped making content. So,
growing up a fan, obviously, of the Kansas City Chiefs, and one of my friends from long ago, it was a huge Chiefs fan. He's from Missouri, and he's like, almost like the Eagles, almost, where it's just a painful, long process, dealing with the Raiders and their glory years, dealing with the Broncos and their great years. And it's almost like, when will Kansas City get back to the Super Bowl after the first couple. You know what I mean? What was that like growing up as a Kansas City fan and like almost there? Almost, great quarterback, almost great quarterback.
I remember having this conversation with the friend of mine who I started my first Chiefs podcast with, again, like freshman year of college. And we were younger at the time even, but we had the conversation, like a very serious conversation of, do you think that before we die, the Chiefs will have a real quarterback and that they will actually end up in a Super Bowl? And I vaguely remember saying like, well, yeah, I mean, just like law of large numbers, right? Like, I mean, we might be 60, but probably eventually that'll happen. It is a uniquely bizarre kind of painful fandom, or it was obviously, where you are in that space of maybe you're almost good enough. So you talk yourself into, Trent Green on one level, and then they trade for Matt Castle many years later. I'm skipping lots of non-memorable quarterbacks, but you talk yourself into Trent Green or Matt Castle or Alex Smith. And each of those guys served a purpose at that time, in the Chiefs franchise and the organization, but you are never really going to be able to win with one of those guys. And then so you end up at the point where also they had not drafted a quarterback in the first round, the first 2 rounds in my lifetime since I had been born. And they end up finally being in that spot after that, what was clearly going to be, that time where they probably were going to keep Alex Smith around for one more year, but everyone knew that it was going to be time to find the guy for the future. Then you go into that, that draft class, which ended up obviously bringing Patrick Mahomes to Kansas City with a whole lot of stress around that group.
Got a question from Tom Goodhines. He's from the Hub. And he's a longtime Chiefs fan. He's right there. So what is your take on the linebacker group this year for the Kansas City Chiefs?
It's interesting. So Anthony Hitchens is the guy in the middle, veteran from the Cowboys, signed over a few years ago.
Thumper.
And he's a thumper. And he also has the trust of Steve Spagnuolo. He's the green dot. He is your Mike linebacker, and he's the guy that's there to adjust the defense. 2 years ago, he really struggled. He's making a lot of money. And he did not live up to that 2 years ago. Last year, he quietly, I think, had a pretty excellent season, but some people had already kind of made up their minds about him the year prior, which I think is unfortunate. But, sometimes that happens. But then last year's draft, they draft Willie Gay Jr. in the second round. He had kind of a limited collegiate career, a few kind of issues with his team and all of that. Nothing super duper serious, but I think he punched his quarterback, in practice, which I guess is sort of serious. It's not the worst thing that anyone's ever done. And like, you can laugh at it, like you can chuckle. But they drafted him, but he never really made it onto the field. He was a rookie, and he's a rookie in Spags' defense. And so this year, though, I was out at camp a couple of days, or on Monday, I think was the last day I was up there. They've wrapped camp now. It's a long drive to St. Joseph, Missouri. It's only an hour, but it feels long. And in the long drive section where Andy Reid will put his offense at the 1, and it says, go the other direction. They did that a couple of times. And the first team defense was Anthony Hitchens and Willie Gay. They are the 2 guys on the field in the sub packages. And so I really do think we're going to see those 2 guys be the first 2. Then you have Nick Bolton, linebacker drafted in the second round this year. They've went back-to-back draft classes, taking linebackers in the second round, which is not necessarily where the league is headed, but it's what the Chiefs did. And they take Bolton in the second round. I think he's really set up to be Anthony Hitchens' replacement next year. I think they're going to want Bolton to be that Mike linebacker. Hitchens is a little older, and his contract is movable after this year. So I feel pretty okay about that linebacker group this year. And then Ben Neiman, he went from a fan favorite to a fan unfavorite because he was often asked to do more than I think he was capable of. If he's your 4th linebacker or even your 3rd guy in a pinch, it's really most important to me that Hitchens and Gay are the 2 guys that are out there in sub packages. And I feel pretty good about that group with that being said.
Let me ask you this. What is your breakout defender that no one's talking about right now?
Oh, God. That's such a hard question because I got to think outside of just here, because I swear, man, we've talked about every single defender all the way down the depth chart because the off season is long. But for non-Chiefs fans, I think one is definitely Legeria Snead. 4th round pick out of La Tech last year. He was playing some safety in college. he comes in last season and he starts at outside corner day one because Bashaud Breeland's suspended. But he ends up getting hurt. He breaks his collarbone. He comes back like 8 weeks later and he starts playing in the slot. This is not a one-to-one comparison, but Legeria Snead has some Tyrann Mathieu qualities.
Wow.
Because of the versatility. He in younger Tyrann Mathieu, right? Mathieu now, one of the best parts of his game is the fact that dude just 100% knows everything that's going on around him at all times. And Snead is going into his second year here. He's young, but he can play outside. What he's going to do this year is start outside and then kick into the slot in a sub package. They'll bring somebody else on to play the other outside spot. And so Snead will kick in. And then from that spot, he can cover in the slot. He can move back and do some Spags defensive back rotation stuff where he drops back and plays more of a safety role. And he can blitz from the slot in a way that he didn't know he could do last year. Spags didn't know he could do last year. He didn't blitz out of the slot in college, but he started doing it for the Chiefs last season, and it was his awesome new weapon that it felt like Spags and Snead discovered. So I'll say for the national audience, we talked about him a ton around here, but nationally, Legeria Snead I think is a guy that could be a legit huge breakout candidate this year that's not getting enough attention.
He's almost like a what we call like a joker, where he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid guy where you can put him anywhere on the field, and you don't know if he's coming, if he's covering,
right.
or if he's playing kind of like a small linebacker. So
and just the amount of times that Spagnuolo likes to do stuff that is moving defensive backs around at the snap, right before the snap, right after the snap, whatever. You'll see if you just watch the Chiefs defensive backs, you'll see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of him really valuing that versatility. And that I think is the reason they ended up drafting Snead. And I think it's why he was so good last year and why he's going to be good again this year.
You have one of my guys out there with you, Derek Noddy. He was from one of our football academy, 757 Sports Academy here in Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach. He was one of our kids before he went to Florida State, Ocean Lake.
I'm sorry that I cut you off with my gestures because he was the other guy I was going to mention. But I don't know that his stat line is ever going to be flashy. But last night on Almost Entirely Sports, I finally played a conversation that I had with him last weekend. There was a big memorabilia signing event over the weekend here in Kansas City, and I got to talk to a bunch of guys, and so I'll cross promote that all day because I was very pleased with how those ended up. But nobody more than Derek Noddy. That dude, he had a press conference where he was talking about like his newfound love of jet skis a couple weeks ago at training camp. Yeah. Such a dude. I enjoyed talking to him so much.
Yep.
Lots of guys that no knock on anybody else, but lots of times, man, you're at that podium and you're just getting pelted with questions, and you may as well be the press secretary, right? You're just trying to answer the questions and move on to the next thing. Even in longer interviews, sometimes it's tough. But man, such a good personality, such a genuine dude. He was talking through, his getting into his stance so meticulously that he feels like he's moving in slow motion, and how in his own head he can be within plays, but how he needs to be more generous about his good plays and, understand the fact that he's a nose and that, he's not always there to make huge, blow up plays. And yeah, man, I really, really enjoyed talking to him. And I did not know that you had a connection to him. So I'm guessing you probably have similar stories about him being just a good dude to talk to.
Oh yeah. He played at Ocean Lakes High School. Was just an absolute animal. He of course, he plays the one for you guys, but
right.
They moved him all up around, on the high school level. And of course, went to Florida State and was stout there. Yes. That's the word for him. Stout. He's like a rhino. And he just could not move the kid. And of course, being that he made it, got drafted by you guys, fairly third round, fourth round,
second round.
Second round.
I'll tell you what, man, he is the only dude from that draft class that there are a couple guys that are still on the roster, but that draft class was not good. It was Brett Veach's first draft class as the Chiefs GM. That draft class was not good. Derek Noddy by 1,000 miles is the best pick from that draft class.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing him continue his play. And but yeah, I saw. I was like, yeah, my man Derek is over there. And I'm looking to see, if he's gonna take that next step. That's what I'm thinking. Now let me get an offensive player that is under the radar that you think can go up.
I mean, the whole offensive line got overhauled, so I think there are three answers there because they might be starting three rookies on the offensive line with Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Lucas Niang. None of those guys you're going to, draft in fantasy or whatever because they're on the line. I think it's interesting because there are some really deep sleepers and then there's some obvious guys. And there's not a whole lot of space in between. Like McCole Hardman, everyone pretty much knows at this point with Sammy Watkins in Baltimore now. The Chiefs tried to get in on Juju Smith-Schuster. They could not land him. So, McCole Hardman is not a sleeper at this point. He is a guy they are relying on to have a major impact. But then you go a full step down. They drafted Noah Gray, the tight end out of Duke. I don't think he's going to have an enormous impact in his first year, but he's a super interesting guy to watch. I have my heart set on Jody Fortson, who's been on the practice squad the last couple of years as a receiver. He transitioned to a tight end over the last year, and he's looked so good at camp. And I want Jody Fortson to make this roster so much, but I don't know if he's going to end up making a huge impact on game day. So it's kind of interesting just that there's really those two classes offensively. It's either guys that you really know about already, but they're relying on more this year, like a Hardman, maybe even a Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second year. And then there's the class of guys. It's like, man, if you were at training camp, you'd know about Jody Fortson. He was receiver at Valdosta State. And again, that's not fantasy advice there. But a super deep sleeper and then a not so deep one in Hardman. We also had a chance to talk to you last weekend, and I'll just keep promoting all my own stuff.
Very cool. So, overview of the team, and give me a prediction for your record. Just give me a overview, and then we'll talk about the baby goat because we're going to talk about him. So,
okay.
but give me the overview of what you think and your prediction for your record.
So the two things we haven't dug in too deep on is the trenches on both sides, other than obviously mentioning Nadi. But, he like you said, he's the one. But then the three over the last several years has been Chris Jones. I think he's one of the best interior pass rushers in the sport. I would take him second because Aaron Donald's not a human being. So Chris Jones is the best human being that rushes from the interior in the NFL in my mind. But he's going to spend a lot of time on the edge this year. They are deeper on the interior after bringing in Jerron Reed from the Seahawks. The Seahawks cut him this offseason. Chiefs brought him in on a one-year deal. Then you have some younger guys like Colin Saunders, a Tershawn Wharton type. These guys that are going to be able to rotate in there. There's a lot of depth in the interior, not as much on the edges and certainly not as much elite level play on the edges. You've got Frank Clark on one side. He's hurt. He might be suspended. He's getting paid a whole lot of money. Long offseason for Frank Clark.
Yeah.
But with Chris Jones, he looks like a monster, man. He's a monster on the interior. He's looked like a monster on the edge so far. I think that's going to be enormous. And then on the other side, as I mentioned, the Chiefs totally overhauled their offensive line. You saw the Super Bowl. Everyone knows what happened there. But it happened that way not because the offensive line was terrible, but because, across the board, they're running backups out there. And in some cases, third stringers, because that had just been the war of attrition that, frankly, they lost over the course of the season. So now they trade for Orlando Brown Jr. He's at left tackle. They make Joe Thuney the highest paid guard in NFL history at left guard. They draft Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma in the second round. He's going to start. He's looked excellent. Trey Smith, 6th-round draft pick out of Tennessee, but he only fell because there were some medical concerns, blood clots and lung stuff out of Tennessee, where they were concerned that, would he actually be able to clear some medical tests at the NFL level. And then at right tackle, Lucas Niang, who opted out last year. He was drafted in the 3rd round out of TCU. But he's at the right side now. He's winning that job over Mike Remmers, who was a really solid right tackle last year, but a disaster at left tackle in the Super Bowl. So those two sides, really both sides of the trenches, are a huge story, because the offensive side is there to try to help out the run game a little bit, but obviously to protect the baby goat.
Absolutely. And now let's get to that baby goat. So what is it? Tight end. Skip. What's his name?
Kelsey?
No.
Or somebody else?
No, the tight end with Skip Bayless.
Oh, Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
He does the goat thing. So baby goat, Pat Mahomes. All right. Poster boy for Madden.
Yep.
2 times. Already. Only been in the league for 4 years, going on 5, or are we 3 years going on 4? It's 3 years going on 4, isn't it?
It's 4 years going on 5, but 3 on 4 is a starter. I had to think about it for a second, though.
Right. So, what in the world is it like covering him every day, dude? Because I'm from Hampton Roads. I'm a Washington fan, and it makes me chuckle, makes me laugh hysterically to say that when I'm talking about somebody else's probably Hall of Famer quarterback. What's it like covering a true young stud Hall of Famer quarterback this successful this early in his career?
It's really interesting. I was talking to another friend in the media about this a couple days ago. It actually was on the Times Ours podcast with the Athletics' Nate Taylor, and we were talking about the offensive line for the 5,000th time this offseason. And we kind of got to the point where we're like, man, this is silly. Like, the only real things we have to talk about are the defense and the offensive line, maybe the receiver. We're finding everything. But this entire offseason, we've barely talked about Patrick Mahomes at all, because you talk about things that are unknown. Even elite plays. If you're the Chargers right now, you're talking about Justin Herbert, and will he regress? Could he improve? That's happening everywhere in the sport. You go to a former MVP in Lamar Jackson. What is he going to be as a passer as he evolves? We don't have to have that conversation here. We know the answer. You're right. I mean, if he stays healthy and plays out his contract, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's not a question about that. And I do not say that lightly, because I watched Damon Heward and Brody Croyle fight over the Chiefs quarterback job for years. So that does not come off my shoulders lightly. It is super interesting, because his first year as a starter had all of the emotions of, like, he threw picks in training camp, and was that a big deal or not? And then he goes $55,000 and an MVP. It's like, well, that was easy. Like, oh, okay. So is that totally real? Well, then the next year comes around, and he ends up getting his knee injury, partway through the season. And they go on and win the Super Bowl, and he's a Super Bowl MVP. And there's just no more question about that. Last year, he was excellent, and there was no MVP. There was no Super Bowl MVP, but he's still obviously that guy. So, I mean, it's been a blast to cover him, and to get to talk to him a handful of times, on the radio or in press conferences or whatever, and then to be able to talk about him as much as we do, and him as a player, is just fascinating. And then you also have, like, some of the off the field stuff where he's in the ownership group for the Kansas City Royals and for Sporting Kansas City, our MLS team here. His fiance is a part of the ownership group for the National Women's Soccer League team that just relocated back to Kansas City. I think he's a part of the ownership group now for all the Whataburger franchises that are migrating from Texas up here. Like, there has just been sort of this perfect marriage between Mahomes in this last year or two, where it has been incredibly obvious from every angle. He is the real deal, obviously. And now he's just sort of, I mean, like literally deciding, I'm in Kansas City, but I miss Whataburger. Could we get some Whataburger up here, please? And he's Patrick Mahomes.
Yes,
so
sir.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, sir. We can make that
exactly.
happen.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think, and I'm like, he is like the quarterback for this era.
Yes.
The type of quarterback you need for this era. He fits it in every single way. Yes. You need somebody with wheels. The kid has wheels. The arm throws into small windows, secondary windows, has all that. The charisma. The kid is full of charisma. With the coach that that wants to fit his scheme. And there we go. He's also, the poster boy for the league. Makes, just a really good guy. It seems does a lot of work outside of off the gridiron as well. And, I don't know. I'm just looking to see how far he's going to go. And is he going to just take over, everything when Tom Brady's out of there? And I think he will.
I think so too. And I think, you mentioned the coach, like, not only is this the right offense for him. I mean, look, I think that if the Bears would have drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Mitchell Trubisky, I think he would have been really good in Chicago. I think that's fair. But he's in a perfect situation here, and he's perfect for this situation. It's totally symbiotic. Where Andy Reid, you think about some of the guys he's been successful with, and you can look at Alex Smith, and you can look at him getting a second-round pick for Kevin Kolb, and you can go back to his best runs with Donovan McNabb. But he also made it work with Michael Vick. Like, Andy Reid has not been limiting his quarterbacks with his offense.
Right.
Andy Reid has been limited by his quarterbacks over his career. And so now, in what's ultimately going to be the last chapter of Andy Reid's career, because he will never coach a snap without Patrick Mahomes, right? And I think Andy Reid could do this for another 5 or 6 years, despite being one of the older coaches in football. I don't think he's close to retiring. He is now at a place where he has been studying chess, for 25 years, but now he's got like 10 queens. And so what kind of crazy stuff can you pull off whenever you have that guy at quarterback? And then you also have generational players around him, and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Hill is fantastic, but I think Kelce especially. I think Kelce is going to ultimately retire as an inarguable Mount Rushmore tight end guy, top 4, and I'm probably going to end up breathlessly trying to convince people that he may have been the very best of all time. But you have these generational talents on the field at the same time being coached by a generationally excellent offensive mind behind them, where Mahomes is helping Andy Reid fulfill what his career was up to this point. And Patrick Mahomes is getting the benefit of 25, 30 years in football, 20 years as a head coach from Andy Reid, imparting that wisdom on him. And that's the one other element that I think sometimes gets glossed over for Mahomes. He is exceptional at reading defenses, absorbing the playbook, going through, and also the playbook is a conversation we'll have to save for some other time because I think we're pushing over your guys' into the hour. But Mahomes then also simply does not, if he sees something once, it is logged in there. And it's a very real thing that we've seen time and time again. He'll make a mistake once, and that mistake does not get repeated. So yeah, even if I was going to try to be devil's advocate, or if I was going to try to be a downer, I don't know how I would build an argument that Patrick Mahomes does not end up leaving this league as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
I'm going to have to steal one of your statements there. You said extra queens.
Extra queens.
I'm going to steal that. Yeah, he has extra queens.
All yours.
On the chessboard. You'll know where it came from, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So if you're ready for some rapid fire.
Yes, I love rapid fire.
All right, let's get it. Who's not a parent? Who's your most influential person?
Oh my God. This is not a rapid fire question. I'm gonna go radio. I'm gonna say Dan Le Batard and the Dan Le Batard Show has been very formative to the type of radio that I want to do and that I enjoy.
Wow, for me, it's Colin Cowherd. It's crazy.
He is incredible at his thing. They're very different stylistically. Also shared a time slot at one point. I think actually that was a transition. I think
Dan Le Batard is a man too, man.
Yeah.
Favorite steakhouse in Kansas City. Okay.
Steak, not barbecue, specifically steak.
Steak, beef steak. That's where you go. They say to get a steak. Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm probably going to. I'm probably going to miss something, but Hereford House of Kansas City never let me down, and also they're a friend of the station. So I feel like at the very least they're 2 birds, 1 stone. Shout out to a sponsor, Hereford House, but also again never ever let me down.
Understood. Bucket list. What's on your bucket list that's left right now?
I was just thinking, I was so underprepared for all these questions. I was literally just having this conversation a couple days ago that I need to have more things on my bucket list, because right now my bucket list is 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep and 3 days off in a row.
Okay.
But I'm hoping to go to just travel a little bit more, get to Europe at some point in the next year.
Okay, very cool, man. Best advice for any up-and-comers coming behind you?
I think that finding your specific voice, I'm sort of copying also something that a friend of mine, Kent Swanson, tweeted out a couple days ago, but understanding that nobody right now needs voices that you are replicating. You talk about Cowherd, I'll talk about Le Batard, whatever, but we're not trying to be an echo of those guys, right? You have to have your own voice, your own perspective, your own information, your own passions and the things that you care about. And if you end up having to be a person that you are not honestly to make a career work or whatever, eventually that's going to make you miserable. It's not worth it. It's not worth trying to be somebody that you're not, to try to get into a space, because if you have to keep that up forever, you're eventually going to lose your mind.
Beautiful, man. Best Pat Mahomes nickname?
I I like cheat code Mahomes because that allows for an entire like video game situation. I also tried to make Sherlock Mahomes the thing, and nobody came with me.
What is it called?
Sherlock Mahomes.
Sherlock
And then
Mahomes.
I photoshopped his face onto, the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I made Andy Reid Watson, and people did not run with it. That one did not stick, but it's one of my favorites.
Ferrari Pat is for me.
Ferrari Pat is great. That's a Louis Riddick.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ferrari Pat. I love that.
I do like that.
And if what superhero or supervillain do you identify with the most?
I mean, I don't know if this is healthy, and I certainly don't know if it's true, but I immediately went to Iron Man. Iron Man is definitely, I think, who I would want to be. I think there are probably some substance abuse issues there that maybe you'd like to try to fade out, early on in the story.
Right.
But I like Iron Man, the current, kind of MCU Robert Downey Jr. version of Iron Man. I like the vibe of very, very much.
Very cool. It's very sleek. You know what I mean? He's just a cool guy.
Right. It's just, you gotta, I couldn't pick a non-sassy one, right? Like it's gotta be somebody with some attitude. No offense to, Hawkeye, but that's not me.
Yeah, he's so cool and calm. You never let him see you sweat. He always has an answer for everything.
Yeah, and we make almost the same amount of money.
Oh, very cool. Now,
yeah.
People try to always compare Iron Man and Batman. I'm like, no, Iron Man's a dude for me. Batman,
It's just Batman just takes himself so seriously. That's the thing. I think that's what draws me to Iron Man. Is Iron Man is a little like he kind of gets it, right? Like especially later on in the arc, like he understands that this is all kind of silly and that he's a multi-billionaire that has these sleek suits and everything. He's having fun with it. Batman doesn't have fun with anything.
You have two billionaire superstars on each side of the spectrum.
That's right. That's right. And I'm more Tony Stark than Bruce Wayne, I like to think.
Playboy. So yeah, man. Any announcements or shout outs, brother, that you got, man, before we get out of here?
I would say if you want to follow me on any socials, but specifically on Twitter, @JB Briscoe is where I'll put out the links to everything else that I'm doing. Like I said, I got to talk to a whole bunch of Chiefs this last weekend that are all up on the podcast page for Almost Entirely Sports. If you want to listen to Almost Entirely Sports, you can go to aes.show in your browser. It'll take you to a splash page where you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And of course, arrowheadreport.com. part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated, and you can check that out there. Look at the splash page. It's unbelievable. The production on this show is embarrassingly good.
Super Pro Sam, man.
It. Unbelievable, Sam.
That's it.
And then, of course, arrowheadreport.com. We'll have coverage for the Chiefs preseason game tonight, and also continuing all year long there, arrowheadreport.com.
Quick question. Did you go to the Super Bowls with them?
No, I host the post-game show, so I was set up in the studio after the one they won. I was live from the end of the game until 6 a.m., marking the longest that any human being should ever try to be on the radio. I almost fell asleep live on air like Mike Francesa at about 4 a.m.
Oh my goodness, my man!
Yeah, it was a long day, worth it, but a long night.
Yes, sir, guys. That is Joshua Briscoe. Thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate you
anytime.
So much.
This was fun. I appreciate you. You guys let me know, and the best produced show that I've ever been on. You guys let me know. I'll say that. I'll make my producers and co-hosts at 810 mad if they ever watch this.
Well, I'm gonna have to catch up with you during the season, man, and talk shop with you.
Do it. Don't lose my email, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That is Joshua Briscoe from Arrowhead. Arrowhead's pod. I can tell you, man, Arrowhead Media. He's awesome, man, and we just had a great time chopping it up, talking about what's going on with his team, the Arrowhead Report there at Kansas City, chief and editor there, and of course, Almost Entirely Sports. That is Joshua Briscoe. But it's been a full show as always. I always run into overtime. I know that I have some little ad-libs and extras I throw in there, but I just try to make sure I educate you and I entertain you. And I am Big Law. Oh, man. Shout out to everybody who's paying attention and who has watched the show, guys. We love you guys. We can't do it without you. And as this season comes and we continue doing what we do, keep it locked because we're going to keep bringing you the information you deserve and information you need. But If you need anything else, just sure you check me out on any of my other outlets, and also check out our folks here at the NFL Draft Bible State of Football on Sports Illustrated. But if anything else, I'll see you guys next week and also next weekend. We love you. We will be back to you on Monday with my guy Rick. This has been the State of Football.